Howdy. Tonight, I had a couple people that sent me a text on YouTube, and they don't understand how the pulse graver works, or the pneumatic graver. And I was trying to explain it to them, and I don't know, but I've never made the pulse graver work as well as I would have liked it. But there's quite a few people on the YouTube that seem to don't have any problem at all with it, and their impact looks far better than mine. So I'm stopping on the air graver for a little bit while I build one of these pneumatic gravers, and I thought I'd put this up there on the YouTube when I get her done, and then these people can see how it works. It's all about a small air compressor, knocking the reed valves out of it so it has a push-pull, and putting a spring in this thing that allows it to tune itself, and putting some threads on here, drilling this out. There's a guy on the internet, Rick, I think it's Alexander, and he sent me some blueprints here over a year ago, and then I kind of went through them and looked at them, and I really kind of see where I made some mistakes. So I'm going to go ahead and make one, and if it works out, then we'll get back to the air graver, which I'm going to make it one way or the other. But I thought I'd go ahead and show you what's going on here. First of all, I cut this from I think this is 3/4 inch stock. It might be inch. I think it's inch stock. I cut it down to 1/2 inch, and I'll finish giving this a little bit of a buff. I'll put threads on this side here, about 1 inch worth of threads, and I'm going to bore this out to I'm going to go in 1.200, and the reamer size is going to be 0.348 or 350, which is a 9mm reamer. So my lathe, each full turn on this lathe is a 130 thousandths. So if you divide that into 1.20, it's going to be 9 point some odd turns, 17 thousandths. We want 20, so 200. Anyway, I'll go ahead, and this is pretty noisy. Alright, so here's one full turn. Here's 2 full turns. So let's see where we're at. 3. I'm going to go ahead and move the tailstock back. I kind of want to get a measurement in here and see where we're at. 17, 1 inch and 17, I think. I did this right. It's hard to say how accurate all this is. It's an old lathe. But we'll back it out and take a look now and see if should be about 1 inch and 170 thousandths, and we want 1 inch and 200 thousandths. So we're 1 inch and 14. So give or take a little bit. Let's see where we're at. No, now we're showing 117 thousandths. So that would be 9. Which would be about right. No, it should have been. So 117, so we got to go 3 more thousandths. Alright. So we'll set this at 0. Okay, we're at 121 in the hole, so let's 119 too, and I'm going to call that good. Okay, this reamer is 350, and this nasty drill bit is 345. I don't know whether I can make that work or not. Bit's been kind of through the mill. Ace Hardware had a sale today because they were getting rid of a bunch of their drill bits. So I honed in on that. Spent about $30. Bought some of their higher end bits, and the only bits I don't really have are the numbered bits. Something here right. There we go. Alright, last night I need the letter bits and
for another
about
drill
a dozen numbered bits.
I finally found one.
One of the things you gotta learn, which I never have, is how to really sharpen these properly when they get dull. And I never learned how to do it properly. I can get by once in a while, but this angle here and this angle here have to be exact when you're doing it. If you get one of these off center just a smidge,
Okay,
what it does is it puts a
moved the
I re-drilled it last night, and I put the reamer through there, so we're actually about 1.200, and that's about where we want to be for the cylinder. And we'll be able to, it's reamed now, so I think it'll make it a little bit better for the piston to work. So the next thing is I'm going to cut this off. I can't thread on this machine. The carriage gear inside of here keeps bumping out, so it's easier to go to the other machine, and it's pretty well set up for just doing threading. So we'll go ahead and cut this off. Okay, I pre-drilled this, so I'm ready now to see if I can make a 1/4" reamer go through there. And I don't have to measure it, I just need to drill it all the way through. And we're all the way through, and that's what we want. Now I'm going to move this to the other lathe where I can thread everything and finish the things I need to do. And I might put a radius on that because that's where the engraver fits now. Okay, the quick change graver, which is a GRS, will fit into this just perfectly. And one thing I didn't do is I didn't put a notch here or a guide, and I think I'll do that on the mill. And you can do it with the lathe, but I think it's easier just to put it on the mill and cut it. So that's what I'll do next, and then first, well, I'll thread it next, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'll put a guide in here and build a piston for it, and we should be done with this. I'll polish it up a little bit for you. The pneumatic graver, not to confuse it with the air engraver or air graver. I had a couple of people wanted to know more about the pneumatic graver, which for some unknown reason, because there's a lot of YouTube information out there with it. It operates off of a spring. You take a small air fill-up compressor, take the reed bells out of it, and do a little modification here and there, and whoopee, you've got one. So I've never had much luck with them, so here's what I did. I decided to make a brand new one, and I'm going to put this up, and then we'll go back to making the air graver. I broke my mill. The computer blew, so, and I don't know whether it's in the video in the computer, whether it's a hard drive. My guess, a hard drive. So I'm going to have a handpiece. I've already done everything else. I haven't made the piston yet, and I haven't polished the inside of this, but I think I will. So we'll look at that. So with that, I'll just run a couple threads for you so you can see how this is done. And you had a thread nut, and you got to make sure that thread nut's in the same spot every time. And I should have probably put a little bit of a channel in there, but I loaned my cutoff blade to my brother, and I really don't have anything that can do the job the way I want it to, so I'm just going to stop it where it needs to. You back it out, come back out, bring this back to zero, carriage, and now I'm going to take the cross slide and I'm going to move it 5/1000ths. And I'm going to back this back a little further. On my thread nut, I need to stay on evens. About an inch long, and I didn't, I wasn't thinking. So you can see where I have just a little miss there, but it slides right in there, and so this will work for showing this particular graver. And I'll make a piston for it, and then we'll try it out and see if she works. Maybe I better try the handle too. Now the engraver handle I made a long time ago, and I was using it with other ones, other pneumatic cylinders, and I never could get the punch that I wanted. That's why I switched back to maybe making an air graver instead of a pneumatic graver. And we're going to go ahead and try this one. I undercut the threads just a smidge too much. And that's my fallacy. I do everything 4 or 5 times before I figure out what I really want. And it would help if I'd put blueprints on. But you know me. So we got quite a bit of fine tuning that we can do on this. Boy, really marred that up. So, well, we'll give it a try here in a little bit. I got to drill a hole. Probably, I'm going to try 2 holes first, and then if that works, I'll go ahead and drill 2 more. So, well, whoops, I'm sorry. Sitting here, ratting all. Here's the handle that I made quite a long time ago, and it's not exactly the kind of engraving handle I want. I want mine more stubbed out here this way. So I'll probably make a new handle eventually if these work, and we'll see see how well this one works. So there it is. And I always put a nipple on these things instead of just trying to push the holes down in that hole there. Works a lot better, and it don't pop off when you're working. So, righty. Alright, here you can see I made the piston, and I'm just getting ready to finish cutting it off. And my handle's right in the way, so I'll go ahead and cut it off. Now I put a little lip inside of here, a little recess so that the spring can sit inside, and I'm guessing how much weight that is. So, but it's not that hard to make into the piston if this is too light. So, or too heavy, I can cut it. This is the newest engraver I made, which is a pneumatic, spring operated. And I made this, basically this is made off of Rick Alexander's blueprint. Alright, I've got her on, I've got her resonating. You can hear it running. And that's about all I can get out of this. I just don't feel like I'm doing something right there. But I'll go ahead and run a piece of engraving for you. But howdy there. Today we're going to finish up the highlights on this pneumatic engraver I made. This is a brand new one I just made. And I got to thinking that the first one I made might have been a little rough, and that's why it didn't work. As you probably all know, that during the making of these things, I told you I'm not overly happy with how these work. And so, believe it or not, I've come to a different conclusion, and I'm going to demonstrate what's going on. What I didn't realize until a gentleman friend of mine, Rick Alexander, showed this to me or texted me back. The problem isn't necessarily within this unit here. The problem is with this pedal, this foot pedal. And I didn't realize that until he brought some tips up for me to talk about. So I got to looking at my pedal, and sure enough, some of the pedals work and some of them don't. And what's happening is these little, these are kind of like a screw with a little bushing in them, and then the plate here is punched out. Well, if this hole here is just a little high, then the pressure of this plate, which you're going to see I modified this one. I'll turn it around so you can see it. I added about 20 thousandths where the button pushes in on the pedal. Here's the button right in here. This wasn't going down far enough, wasn't depressing far enough. And so I only had hard on, well, I had medium on and none. And so the engraver was not working very well. And on about the third or fourth one, I just assumed that the engravers just don't work that great. And what it was all along was this silly foot pedal. So here's the thing. Some of them, I think when you get them from eBay, they're about $15 or right in that area. And some work and some don't work so well. And part of the problem, I think, is right here in this valve spring button right here, and how well these are stamped in there. And that's kind of what's going on. So what I thought I'd show you here is what's going on. pull back so you can see what's going on. This is the little compressor. This is the one I modified. I don't think it's the best one to use, and I wouldn't recommend it's called a Husky. I'd stay away from this one. Rick is using a Pittsburgh, and they're a little more expensive, but I think the cylinder on them is a little bigger, and I think the stroke is a little stronger. So I think you get a little more play in the compression strokes. Now, let's just go ahead and I'll turn this on. And I'm going to pull it off of the foot pedal, and I'm going to put it on. Can't win today. You hear that going? That's all out. That's all this compressor can do, and there's plenty of piston power. And you can adjust this by tuning it up, I call it, I guess. Right about there is just about right. And this will engrave pretty decently. So I'm a little more satisfied with this situation. So, and you can just hear it. Alrighty, so this is directly onto the pump, the compressor. Now I'm going to go back to the now we're back on the foot pedal. Well, we're on the foot pedal, but we're not hooked in here, are we? Alright. Alright, now we're back on the foot pedal and the compressor's hooked up. You can tell just by not quite as much poop to it going through the pedal. And that's because the pedal button isn't being compressed far enough. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down for a minute. I'm going to put another 20 thousandths on this and show you what the difference is. Because once I did this on the foot pedal, wow. You know, then the engraver will work and will engrave, and does a pretty nice job. So, more impressed with it than I had been in a year. I just didn't realize that my foot pedal was bad to begin with. Okay, got her back together. Here's the pedals now, which has quite a bit of power to it. It's enough to do the job. And I have a little more play in the amount of power. Here, this would be soft, medium, and hard. Now, let's just pull it off of there. And we're just going to go right in direct. And I feel a little more pressure, a little more power going direct. But not that much. A little bit. I'd say 15 to 20% more power than going through the pedal. So one of two things, you know, you can be happy with what you get with the pedal, and you can modify the pedal a little bit like I showed you. You can add some shims underneath of there, and I just used hot glue, and that gave me the poop that I needed. Now this got a little more going direct. And not quite as much when I go through the pedal, so you lose a little at the pedal. The alternative would be maybe making your own valve. That would work maybe a little better than what theirs works. But I'm pretty happy with what I've got now. So I'm going to go back to building the air graver, and we'll call this project done. So for those of you who are having a little bit of trouble with this type of pressure valve, might want to look into adding some shims underneath of it, or look for a different pressure valve.